Hey there, future superstar jammers. My name is Geoffrey Fitzhugh Perry. I'm the creator of the Fiddle Jam Method and the founder of the Fiddle Jam Institute. I've taught countless students how to improvise over the years, from beginners in the first few lessons all the way up to coaching professional jazz players. As a player myself, I've used the three methods I'm about to talk about in different phases of my career over the past 30 years. The joke, of course, is that I'm a slow learner. I took 10 years in each one. But the reality is, I used each one in a musical situation that I really enjoyed and stayed, even if I stayed a little too long sometimes. But I got it down, and the bottom line is I can share it with you in less than a few minutes here. Of course, the upper ones will take you longer to get good at them, but again, I can explain them quite quickly and easily. So here we go. You ready? Let's dive in. Okay, approach number one. Level 101, or the jammer level we sometimes call it on the Fiddle Jam Institute site. It's all about the blues. The cool thing about this level is that you can get away with murder. It's a one scale fits all approach. It doesn't matter what the chords are or nothing. You just take that scale and do whatever you feel sounds good to you, to that song. Now this fits in all kinds of styles, not just blues. It's in rock music, it's in funk music, R&B, it's in jam band stuff. Even back in old-time fiddling, they used the blues scale. Songs like Clinch Mountain Backstep, it's all blues scale. Now, it just so happens that on the violin, we have 3 easy fingerings that helps you get about a dozen different keys. That's pretty cool. And one example would be E minor, E blues. I'll do it for you. It happens to be open 1, 3 on the D string and open 1, 3 on the A string. Just do anything you want with those 2 fingers on those 2 strings and you'll sound pretty good. So I've helped devise some easy ways to get into this blues thing. Now the formula for the blues scale is pretty simple. If you're into the technical part, it goes like this. You take the major scale, the do, re, mi, get rid of the 2nd and the 6th note, just don't play them, and take the 3rd note and the 7th note and lower them a half step. So if, say it was a D major, there's the 1st note, skip the 2nd, take the 3rd, lower it, 4th stays the same, 5th stays the same, skip the 6th, the 7th goes down a half step, and the 8th is the same as 1. 1, flatted 3, 4, 5, flatted 7, 8. That's it in D. Which is another one of those easy zones. Open, low, 2, 3. Open, low, 2, 3. So if you want to find out more about that, you come to the Fiddle Jam Institute and take plenty of lessons. There's all kinds of information about that stuff. Now, my experience with this level and this approach is in the late 1980s and into the mid-90s, I played with a group called Gamelan, and we were basically a really good one-chord jam band. Now, that doesn't sound so illustrious when I explain it that way, but we went a long ways. We were signed to MC Records, we played the Newport Jazz Festival, opening up for the likes of Miles Davis and stuff. We went quite a ways, but we were really good at just that approach, the approach I'm talking about. You take one scale, doesn't matter the chords, you go nuts. And you have to use dynamic things. You start quiet and move loud and build it up to a frenzy, and the next person gets their turn. So it's really kind of climax music, as is the blues. It's really about how much you give with that one scale. And so there's no shame in it. It's simple, yes, but it's not so easy to do well. So you can give that a try. There's level 1. So approach number 2, or level 102, or Gigger level, we sometimes call it on the site, is not really much harder than level 1, but it takes more focus and bigger ears. It uses the blues scale's cousin called major pentatonic. Now for those who are technical minded, major pentatonic is the 1st note of a major scale, the 2nd note, the 3rd note, skips the 4th, goes straight to the 5th, 6th note, skips the 7th, and 8th, of course. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. You can take it into other octaves too, but it's just those 5 notes. It's a very natural sounding scale. Even wind chimes are tuned to this scale and stuff. So, but the rub in this approach is in what I call roots music styles, which is like early rock and roll, country music, bluegrass, folk, Cajun Zydeco, kids songs. In these styles, you really can't get away with just jamming out on one scale that fits all anymore without sounding cheesy. What works best in this 102 level is using major pentatonic of each chord. And it's not as easy as it sounds, but the good news is that 90% of all music is made out of 3 chords. You may know this already. It's called the 1, 4, and 5. For those who don't know anything about theory, chords can have numbers too, just like the notes can have numbers in the scale. So there's the first chord, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So those 3 chords in the key of C, I'm on the piano here, 1, 4, 5, make up 90% of music, if it's in the key of C at least. And that's even for classical music, Mozart, that kind of thing. So now, you heard me do this actually in the intro when I was playing a little bit. I was actually using the major pentatonic of those 3 chords. In fiddle music, it's often in the key of D because we have D scale, it's easy, A scale, it's easy, and G scale, it's easy. In the key of D, D is the first chord, E, F, G is the 4th chord, and A is the 5th. There's the 1, 4, 5 again. All right? Now, my history with this approach was after I left Gamelan, I dove headfirst into Cajun Zydeco. I thought it was humbling and a great experience because it wasn't about the virtuosity and how fancy of a solo you can make. People on the dance floor didn't care whether you were a great soloist or not. They just cared whether you gave them good rhythm and good groove, and they were boogieing. So it was kind of humbling, but a lot harder than I thought because you really had to focus on the chords passing and hear them by ear. Now the trick is for me to listen to the bass player. Just follow the bass and try and sew it all together. And that's what this approach is about. A little harder than it sounds, and it was hard for me at first, but I got pretty good at it, and you will too. All right, on to approach 3. Okay, approach number 3, or level 103, or the artist level we call it on our website. This belongs to the jazz world, or any style that's a little more harmonically diverse. Ultimately, you got to know for this level every kind of scale, every mode, in every key. A little more stuff to know here, isn't there? You also have to be able to recognize what I call diatonic chunks of chords. You can see that this chord going this chord, going this chord, and this chord are all in the same key. So as the chords move around a little more in styles like jazz, you can kind of quickly recognize, oh, if I stay in the same scale, I can do kind of my approach number 1 over this part. But the rub with jazz is that it's a composer's prerogative. They can write whatever they want as far as the chords go in, and jazz songs are, a little more harmonically complex songs. Rarely stay in the same key all the time. Once in a while they do, but that's a rarity. So you got to know more stuff. One of the things you got to know is the popular 2-5-1 progression. So we'd had 1, 4, 5. The 4th most popular chord in the world is the 2 chord. All right. One of my favorite quotes about this stuff is Billy Gibbons. I love him, from ZZ Top. He said one time in an interview, he goes, "Yeah, man, we tried one album with that 4th chord in it, but our fans didn't seem to like it so much, so we went back to 3. They've sold how many tens of millions of albums? It's pretty funny, I think. But not to say that jazz isn't a great style, and it's a great challenge. No style is really better than any other. Not according to some jazz people who are pretty elitist about it, but for me, in my history, after Zydeco, I fell into gypsy jazz, which is jazz minus the elitist attitude, which makes me comfortable. If you're playing gypsy jazz, it's toe-tapping stuff. 2-year-olds can dance to it. I've seen 80-year-olds crowd ride to it at our gigs, and it's very accessible, and it's a high art form, in my opinion, because you have to know all that stuff, all the scales, all the theory, but you also have to know it well enough to forget about it. and have fun and have it be spirited. That's a pretty high order, and one I really took a shine to for the last 10 years now. So I hope that gives you a good idea of these 3 levels. Again, we have tons of lessons on the site about all this stuff, and I hope you want to come and check it out. So let's do a quick review. Approach number 1 was one scale fits all with the blues scale. Just go nuts, don't think too much, just emote with the blues scale. Approach number 2 was what I call the roots music approach of the simple 3-chord songs where you use major pentatonic scale of each chord. So you got to switch scales on the fly, but they're simple scales. But it's more challenging than it sounds. Approach number 3 is where you got to know all the stuff. You got to know all the chords. You got to be able to recognize when there's diatonic, a bunch of chords in the same key, and this sort of stuff. And that's, I didn't mention earlier, but 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 is a popular string of chords. We can learn about that. And 5/1 cadences and stuff. And modes and all these kind of things. So it's more to know. Also more to try and let go. It's a pretty high art form if you're into that kind of thing. So there's your 3 levels. There are sub-levels in between where sometimes you mix 2 levels together, and you know, all the above is never this is one and this is the other. Not so, you know, black and white always, of course. It's music. But I hope you can learn from these things. If you come to the Fiddle Jam Institute, we have lessons in all these, like I said, and you can go to the site and check out some of the basics for free. You can surf around the site without being a member or anything, and at least see the description of many of the lessons. And if you join in our free Fiddle Jam Club level, you get a little more of the lessons, a dozen free lessons. And if you become an All Access Pass member, you get to see all the lessons and all the materials 24/7. So I hope you check it out. I'm pretty proud of the Fiddle Jam Institute, and we teach about these kind of things and much more. So come join us and have some fun. Happy jams.